Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 37 of the Showbound podcast presented by Axel Watches. I'm your host, Michael Raskin, here alongside Barry Colts forward Ethan Cardwell. Cards, what's going on, man?
Not too much, man. Just busy day. Happy to be back in the booth making another epi for the fans. And normally we don't talk about our guest so soon in the interview, but I feel like we have to this week. Kaleb Dahlgren, it was outstanding, and I was getting goosebumps when he was talking throughout the episode. So I really enjoyed it. It was really cool to hear his story and how much of a positive impact he's making on the world today. But yeah, no, just looking forward to everyone hearing it. And yeah, I know you are too.
Yeah, this is probably the most inspirational interview I think, like by far, we've ever had on. I was super into it. We both were. He spoke incredibly. I don't want to get too much into it, but this is one I encourage everybody to listen all the way through. It got emotional, it got funny, it kind of had everything we want, and he was amazing. So we'll get to that in a bit. Can't skip over kind of the biggest news of the week. Tampa Bay Lightning Stanley Cup champions, and in 5 games, as you predicted on the podcast cards. So we finished the season with 3 or 4 correct predictions in a row. So let's go us. But let's talk about it a bit. What do you think of the series, I guess?
Yeah, no, basically I'm just the man. I'm probably the best predictor ever. No, I'm kidding. Super pumped about my prediction though overall. In 5, it was kind of like it looked like it would. Montreal wasn't a good enough team to hang in there with them. But cool to see Tampa win. I know Jack Thompson, who we had on the pod, one of my buddies, signed with Tampa, so he's excited for that. And so I was kind of cheering for him in that sense. And I got a buddy down there who's kind of a part of the team now. He's living with his buddy Jamel Smith there, and he's in the parade. So I've been seeing all these cool updates and stuff. So it looks like they're having a good time. Patty Maroon, legendary, 3 in a row as well. But no, I thought it went well. I wanted it to go that way since I predicted it. So I was happy with the outcome. How about you?
Yeah, I'd say I was happy with it. I was kind of mixed feelings. I didn't want Montreal to win, but I wanted Carey Price to win. Like, he's the only reason an ounce of me was wanting to cheer for Montreal. He's a guy that I think really deserves it. But in the end, Tampa's a better team, and there's the 18 mil over the cap or whatever, like whatever you want to say. But the fact is, it's allowed, so they did nothing wrong and they won within the rules. So that's how it is. I mean, there's just no doubt Tampa was a better team and they deserve it. So congrats to them. And I guess we can kind of move on. There's really not much to get into at this point. Everyone kind of knows how it went down, but the parade looks awesome. They're doing the boat parade today, Monday, as we record this part. And cool, man. It's just pretty sick to see like a modern dynasty like that. And they're looking like they could even win again next year, like they with that core.
Yeah, we don't want to speak too soon, but we may potentially be getting a Tampa Bay Lightning player on the pod down the road to maybe talk about the run and stuff. So hopefully that pans out. I know they're doing a lot of partying, so it won't be for a little while. So, but
Yeah.
stay tuned for that, definitely. And we have firmed up our golf date for our Showbound Showdown. Everyone, just stay tuned. We're going to make it happen this Thursday. We'll see. Hopefully the video will be ready for you guys next week. Super pumped about it. It'll go down Thursday. We'll talk about it on the pod. You'll get your updates. But yeah, no, we're looking forward to it. So I'm pumped. And it's going to be Cole Perfetti and Owen Tippett, 2 10th overall picks at the beautiful Oshawa Golf and Curling Club at Thursday at 2:30.
And I just want to say this before we even do the video. Like, so Cards, when me and Cardsy went golfing last, we want to do a little bit of like Insta story action and get the cameras out and get some content. And I was having a good round as far as my standards are concerned. And all of a sudden, Cardsy starts recording me just with the phone, whatever. I didn't even like really care. And then my game just was horrible. Like, I couldn't hit the ball with the camera on. And he turned it off and it went back to normal. Like, I was hitting it fine. So I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie. Playing in front of the camera, like even just one cell phone camera was one thing, but to have like 3, 4 real video cameras and sound guys, and like I'm nervous that I'm gonna let you down. So I'm just warning you, you're gonna have to carry, I think.
Yeah, it might be a little bit overwhelming for you, but you know what? We'll loosen you up out there. You'll get used to it. Maybe I'll have to film your shots on the range to get you acclimated to what's going to come
That's a
on the
good
court.
idea.
But no, we're pumped. I'm super pumped. It's going to be alternate shot too. And I think we're going to add some funky rules. I think we need to add like maybe a mulligan here, maybe 1 mulligan per round or something like that. The things that could make it a game breaker. And we're going to be playing for dinner afterwards. I know me and Rask don't have as much money as the guys with the contracts. So we're looking to rinse them out there.
Yeah, if we win, we're gonna run up the tab and we'll really make them kind of pay for it. But yeah, I mean, we can send it over to Kaleb Dahlgren now. But before we do, I just want to say the Olympics, the Euros, baseball, major championships, and concerts are all in this summer. You know what isn't? A wild and hairy bush. Tame your pubes with help from our friends at Manscaped, the leaders in below the waist grooming. Their fourth generation performance package includes the brand new Lawnmower 4.0. If an athlete treats their body like royalty, why not treat your pubes like Olympic gold? Fellas, do right by your balls and join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code SHOWBOUND. The world is starting to open, and the Performance Package 4.0 from Manscaped is here to help get you ready. Inside, you'll find their Lawnmower 4.0 trimmer, Weed Whacker, ear and nose hair trimmer, Crop Preserver ball deodorant, Crop Reviver toner, plus 2 free gifts, Performance Boxer briefs, and the Shed travel bag. I can't speak right now. Talk about a world-class dismount into a post-quarantine world. This package is the perfect package for your package and peak performance in whatever sport you desire. The brand new Lawnmower 4.0 is here to take the podium. This fourth generation trimmer features a cutting-edge ceramic blade to reduce grooming accidents thanks to their advanced skin-safe technology. The Lawnmower 4.0 has a 7,000 RPM motor, a new multi-function on-off switch that can engage a travel lock, and gives you the ability to turn the 4000K LED spotlight on and off when needed for a more precise shape. Did I mention this trimmer is waterproof too? Michael Phelps is drooling just thinking about the possibilities. This package also comes with a weed whacker to chop your worst weeds up top in both your nose and ears. This tool is a lock to take home gold in the biathlon. The weed whacker is also waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin safe technology, which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. After trimming your pubes, show them some sportsmanship with Manscaped's liquid formulations. The Crop Preserver ball deodorant and Crop Reviver ball toner are the key to feeling victorious this year. Manscaped also threw in 2 free gifts to their Performance Package 4.0, the Manscaped Boxers, and the Shed Travel Bag. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code SHOWBOUND at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with the code SHOWBOUND at manscaped.com. Achieve pubic glory this year with Manscaped.
All right, now we'll hear from Kaleb Dahlgren.
We are pleased to be joined now by special guest Kaleb Dahlgren. Kaleb, how's it going, man?
It's going good. It's going really good. Thanks for having me on here, you guys. Looking forward to the chat.
Yeah, happy to finally have you on. We've been talking about it for a while. So what's going on these days? I know actually we can quickly mention, I see it in the background already, Crossroads, your book. You want to just touch on that at the beginning because it's such an interesting thing you've been working on.
Yeah, so I guess this has been over a year now. I've been working on this bad boy. Started up in 2020, January 2020, and ended up finishing the writing process and finished that up in December 2020. Book went to publish March 16th, and ever since it's just been pretty much a whirlwind. There's been lots of people reaching out, just saying how the book connected with them and how it touched them, which is truly what I was looking for. And what I wanted was it to connect with people, for people to be able to relate to it. So it's been a cool process. And right now I'm just kind of like in the midst of it, kind of like going slower, which is really nice. I'm able to have somewhat of a summer now and not work as hard with that. But I try to respond to all the DMs I get from the book and even from anybody. And the whole idea is just to connect with those people and hopefully make a positive impact in their life.
Yeah, that's unreal. And we normally take fan questions at the end, but one of the fan questions was related to the book, and they just wanted to know when and why you started or wanted to write it.
So long process. I'll give you the short end of the story because it is like quite a long story. However, at the very start, I did one speaking engagement it would have been 2019, would have been probably around January or February. And it was my first ever speaking engagement talking about my life. So before I would talk about diabetes and just strictly diabetes, that's when it was about like resilience and trying to like battle back through adversity. So I talked about being a type 1 diabetic, obviously at the start, but then I talked about my personal trainer. I talked about my teammate, my dad, and even talked about the Broncos crash and how I like came back from that. So after that speech, person came up to me and said, "You should write a book." I started laughing. I was like, no way am I ever going to write a book. Like, I'm a student athlete. I'm 21 years old. Like, this isn't happening right now. There's no time. So I did a couple more of these, and that was kind of the same response, was that it touched the people and that they really wanted me to write a book and share my thoughts. So I thought it was kind of weird, to be honest. Like, I don't really like books too much. I'm not a very believing book guy. Like, I don't know. So I ended up talking to my agent, Jeff Loans. And so I asked him, I said, "Hey, like, is this normal? Like, do people normally get asked to write a book?" He said, no, not at all. And I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. He's like, well, you have a really good, compelling story that a lot of people can relate to. So I still wasn't with it. I didn't really like the idea. I said, okay, whatever. That's good to know. I'm not going to write a book. So he ended up getting a couple of offers. My agent said that HarperCollins and Penguin Random House were really interested in me. They're like two of the biggest publishers. And he said, are you sure you're not interested in writing a book? And I said, nope, I don't want it at all. So he said, okay, whatever. So a couple weeks later, he's like, I really think you should like think about this some more. He's like, you could really impact other people's lives. So then there I was like sitting in class and really didn't know. I talked to Haley Wickenheiser, who I became close with. She went through the process and she said like, yeah, you 100% should. But the whole idea was I didn't want to first, I didn't know if I was ready time commitment wise. I had 5 courses at the time. I was on York a student athlete at York University. I was on our student council. I had all these commitments for York, but then externally I was in like 4 different organizations too. So as long story gets a little shorter here, talked to my friends. They said, yeah. Talked to my family. They said, yeah. Talked to some other people and they were saying you should do it. And I was sitting in class one day, still wasn't swayed to write a book. And my professor said, if you want to change the world, it starts with you. And that was when it really hit me. I do want to make a difference in this world. And I have tried to my entire life. And my book I could use my platform for good. And that's what I wanted to do. And so I'm able to donate a portion of proceeds to Stars Air Ambulance. And they save lives every day, which is incredible. And for me, that was one of the big things was to help others. So I brought up some awareness around certain topics. And here's the book today. So, and it's pretty crazy. I really didn't think I'd ever write a book. If you told me 5 years ago you'd write a book, I'd lie and I'd laugh and be like, you're lying. That's hilarious. No way at all. But life changes. And I think this is a good opportunity to use my platform for good.
Yeah, that's so impressive, man. And you have like are you planning any book tour or something like that in the works?
Not really. Due to COVID, there's no really book tours. However, now with things starting to open up, I think they're wanting me to sign a couple of places. I think I'm not too sure where exactly, but I am going to Regina and I would like to do it in Saskatoon, but we're not too sure if that's going to happen before I move back to Toronto. So figuring that out right now, I guess a little bit, but nothing too crazy. I did one book signing in Humboldt and that was the place I wanted to do it. And so I'm really happy I was able to cross that off my list.
Yeah. And then just one more quick one before I flip it over to Cardsy. But are you getting on the ice at all these days?
I am actually. I was skating with my friends. We've been last week and the week before. Had a nice little time with them, just on the ice, getting messing around, having fun. Since I officially retired in, I guess, April or May, whenever I announced it, as life's been a bit different. I usually skate every summer. I go hard in the summer, but this summer hasn't been the same. It's been more of a chillax summer, which is kind of cool, kind of weird, a little bit different, but I'm enjoying it. I'm starting to really find value in like just doing things that I like to do too. But for me, what I'd like to do is hockey. So not doing that is a little bit tough, but I've been able to get out there a couple times.
Yeah, and it's pretty special to hear about your book there, and obviously all the success that's came with it. But we want to send it back to the time and all the experiences that kind of led up to where you are today, and all the success that you've had in your life. So for the listeners who don't know, you're an SJHL guy. Played 2 seasons with the Notre Dame Hounds. How'd you find your time there?
I actually really enjoyed it. It was a really cool experience. And it's one of the world-renowned institutions for AAA sports or even private schools in Canada, which is super cool. And for me to be a part of that organization was very special. And I actually really enjoyed it. It was like eat, sleep, live, breathe hockey. And that's what I was looking for. Like, that's what I wanted at that time. And I didn't really care about the other like antics of like meeting people or messing around or having fun. It was like, I was driven and that's what I wanted. And so for me, it was absolutely perfect.
Okay, yeah. And how'd you find your kind of adjustment period to junior hockey once you made the jump to the SJHL there?
I was able to actually do the jump when I was in my 17-year-old season, had a couple games and was able to play in the playoffs of the SJHL finals with Notre Dame when I was 17. So that was really cool to have that experience. But for me, the big thing was just how crisp you have to be. You have to have all your passes on. You have to be ready mentally. You have to be ready with systems. You have to be, if you make one mistake, it's in the back of your net. And I think that's what I really found the difference between AAA and Junior A was like just having that crisp mindset to be ready to go on every situation and to follow systems and all that. So I really enjoyed it. I liked the jump. Also, the guys were obviously a lot stronger playing against men. And I think it's even the same with U Sports. As you jump to the U Sports, even more like you're playing against grown men. As a 21-year-old going into U Sports is still quite a big jump too. So I really like those jumps. I think that's great to build, I guess, awareness of who you're playing against.
Okay, and so I'm kind of curious now. Where exactly are you from?
I'm from Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. I was born in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. And
Yeah.
funny names for people who have no idea about Saskatchewan, Moose Jaw, and Saskatoon. So yeah, I was born in Moose Jaw, lived there until I was 6, moved to Saskatoon after that, and then I played North Battleford for 2 years. Like you said, Wilcox and Notre Dame for another 2, and then Humboldt my 1 year, and now York University for the past 3. And today I retired. So it's pretty crazy call retired. I don't know if I like that, but
Yeah, a little bit different. It'll take some time to getting used to. And then another thing that just kind of came to my mind, was your goal to maybe go play university hockey, or not even Canadian university, maybe NCAA, or was something like that kind of what you were hoping for in your career?
yeah, for me, that was a big goal, was to go NCAA or U Sports. I want to be Division 1 or U Sport. There was really no other option for me. And the idea behind that was just to get my education while playing the elite level hockey in the respective countries. And that's why I stayed in the it's like junior A route instead of going in the major junior. For me, I didn't want to lose the opportunity to go down to the States. I wanted to have both options open so that I had more opportunities. And for me, that was the goal. And I was talking to a couple NCAA Division 1 teams, but nothing ever came out about it. There's nothing like really, really serious offers or anything like that. So I was happy that I was able to still stick with the U Sports team. And the goal was to go U Sports and then play pro in Europe for a couple of years and come back and do some Cairo school for after my pro career.
Yeah, well, everything worked out the right way as it did. But for the listeners and for the viewers, what kind of player are you? Maybe describe your game a little bit so they get an understanding of the player you are on the ice.
So I am 5'8", but I'm not really a skilled forward per se. I'm one of those grinders that get under people's skin. I kind of consider myself as like a not as good as, but Brandon Gallagher, like that kind of style of play, like drive the net hard, get your butt in front of the net, get under people's skin, finish your checks, work your hardest, and always be hard to play against. So that's kind of the player I am. I'd say that I also, well, I take great pride in defense as well. I think defense leads to offense. So I've always been like the shutdown center or the person who will block the shots on penalty kill. And even on power play, I'll still go out there and put in the puck sometimes. So yeah, I'd say like Brandon Gallagher's similar style.
Are you running your mouth out there a lot?
No, I don't run my mouth at all. Actually, I'm really quiet. So I think it's not like I don't really chirp too much. If I get chirped, I just laugh at them and they get even more mad because I'm not getting mad at their chirp. And then if they like try throwing punches, I'll dodge them and then I'll laugh at them some more. So they get even more mad. So it's honestly, yeah, I really don't chirp, but I do try to get under people's skin by the way I play.
Not bad, not bad. I like that. So let's talk about the trade to Humboldt. I'm just curious, how did that go down? I know there's kind of some extracurricular off the ice stuff you wanted to get into. So do you want to just tell everybody about that?
Yep. So I was in Notre Dame my 19-year-old year, and I was fortunate enough to be assistant captain on the team. And we had a bunch of great leaders on that team. And so going into my exit meetings, I was walking towards it, and one of my captains on the team came out to me and said, "Give me a big hug." Came out of his and said, "You're gonna be a great captain for this organization. I can't wait to see that." And little did he know inside me I was going to ask for a trade. I wasn't really feeling the Notre Dame vibe with what I wanted to do in life. And so I ended up going upstairs and asked for a trade. And the reason behind it was that I wanted to start my own mentorship program, but I didn't know how to, like, I had it inside me. I had this idea since I was 16 to create this program for type 1 diabetic children. And in Notre Dame, there's like 400 people and in the whole town. And so like we didn't get many fans. I wanted like a big fan base. That was the whole idea, was to create this program and have children feel special and have like the fans supporting them. So I ended up asking to trade to a bigger center, and I was fortunate enough to land in Humboldt. And so it was a really tough decision, though. I'm not gonna lie, it was one of my hardest decisions I had to make in my hockey career, because I absolutely loved my time in Notre Dame. Loved it, loved it, loved it. And I would have been there 20-year-old year for sure had I not had this huge dream and goal of mine. But anyways, I started a program called Dahlgren's Diabetes, and it's been amazing to use my hockey as a platform to create awareness around type 1 diabetes.
So I do want to mention, because we haven't said it, but you do have type 1 diabetes. And can you just tell us about your program, Dahlgren's Diabetes, and what exactly you are doing?
For sure. So it's a mentorship program for type 1 diabetic children. And the whole idea was just to make them feel special and beautiful for their difference and know that they can pursue their dreams and passions as long as they manage their diabetes and not let it manage them. So for me, what I did in Humboldt was I invited a diabetes out to the game, them and their family. They have a pregame meal at Johnny's Bistro to get the experience kind of as a hockey player. Then they come to the game and they would get to wear a diabetes jersey for the night. The diabetes would participate in ceremonial face-off. They'd have tickets for all their family members so they could watch. And the ceremonial face-off would be me and the captain of the other team. Thankfully, our captain, Logan Schatz, was okay with that. It was cool to be able to take the draws. So I thought that was really awesome. And after that, they watch the game. And then once the game is over, I meet with them upstairs and give them like a Broncos swag pack and diabetes swag pack. And just talk to them about diabetes. The whole idea was to truly let them know that they can pursue their dreams. And I give them some tips and tricks of how I do it during hockey, answering their questions or thoughts that they had. And then afterwards, I'd go to their school and do a school presentation, and just to create more awareness around diabetes in itself so that they felt normal in their school. And then lastly, they'd be get into the Facebook group chat with other diabetes to create kind of a family and a team. So if they had other questions, they could reach out to other diabetes or even just to connect and know that they're not alone in this battle. So the whole idea was to truly make them feel special. And it honestly made me feel special because these people inspire me every day. And it really was something I didn't realize it was going to help me as much as it helped them. I think it helped me even more than them. So it's pretty cool. And today I was able to take it over to York University, and I have 16 diabetes right now. And it's pretty cool. Like I can't, like, these people are amazing. These children are absolutely incredible. And the way I look at them, I was never half the person they were at that time. So to see what they're doing today, like, is really, really inspiring. So I'm forever grateful for this.
Yeah, it's pretty special to hear and just see the smile on your face when you talk about it. You really, really, really care, and it's awesome for me and Rask to see and really hear about. But no, that you said that season in Humboldt, you're making a huge impact off the ice, and you started to make a big impact on the ice as well. You found your offensive touch that year a little bit more with 32 points in 48 games. So, what kind of started clicking there when you started producing numbers?
Yeah, for me, I just had an opportunity to play in a top six role at the start of the year. I think in 21 games had 18 points or something. I was going on a pretty good heater there to start the season, and then I got injured with my AC joint and I injured my wrist, so that kind of messed me up. And I was supposed to get actually wrist surgery that season, but I turned it down. And that was one of the big things for me was either get wrist surgery or just battle through the wrist injury. So I battled through the wrist injury the rest of the season. Did not produce as much, went back to the shutdown role kind of thing. But after that, it was just a great opportunity for me to actually like be put in the top six role and to show that I can produce. So yeah, it was really cool to have that opportunity. But I think for me, it was like I was internally wanting to be driven too. Like I was internally driven to produce and to show others that I am more than just a bottom six shutdown role too, that I still can produce if given the opportunity. So I was really grateful for that opportunity. And then, like I said, injuries kind of impeded the rest, and it's all right. I was able to go back to a role that I was really good at too.
Yeah, whatever you got to do to contribute to the team. And me and Rask being players, we kind of know, like, when you have so much on your plate during a hockey season, sometimes it might get overwhelming or just be too much for a player. But for other players, it kind of gets their mind away from the game, focuses on your organization you have running during the season. And do you think that was a driving factor in your offensive production and your play that year? Do you think that helped you in a way?
I think it did for sure. That's a great question. And for me, I think the fact that I was able to get away from the rink and to actually be involved in other parts of the community was really something special. Like even going to Special Olympic floor hockey every Monday, that was so fun because that brought life to me to enjoy the game because they see the smiles on their faces when they're playing floor hockey and how much fun they're having. And then I think about me playing hockey and how much fun I have playing hockey. So it's like that kind of works together. And even with the recreational hockey, when we teach on Sundays children how to learn to skate, and just seeing the smiles on their face, or even being on the ice, or even like touching the puck, or even if we play like hide and go seek kind of thing, or not hide and go seek, sorry, Red Rover, where you like go across the ice and you try not to get touched, and like octopus or whatever, like those kind of fun games as a child that I absolutely loved, and playing with them and just seeing the smile on their faces really ignited the fire, I think, inside myself as well.
And I can totally relate to you there. Just kind of when you do get to see these kids and see these organizations that run and create so many smiles for young children growing up and playing the game, maybe underprivileged kids or just
Yeah,
less fortunate, just to see them thrive. It really brings a smile to my face anyway, too. And just it makes you remember why you started playing the game and why you love it so much. So I do think that's a huge factor in a player's career and a season, just having those opportunities to spend time with other people, you know?
completely agree. Completely agree with that.
So, I mean, there's no easy way to kind of get into this, but we're talking about the Humboldt season, and we gotta bring up how it ended, I guess, in the bus crash. So I believe you guys were in the third round of playoffs at the time. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, we're in.
And
We've been second round, third round
second?
depends. It's like the Survivor Series. We're in semifinals. So
Okay, semifinals. So I mean, you're deep in the playoffs. I know you guys had a sick team. Can you just tell us about how that went down, like starting from the morning of the game or the morning of the trip?
yeah. So for me, it was a typical game day, and I think that a lot of people think that there's like suspicions or knew someone was up. It was really just a typical game day. We were down 3-1 in the series against the Nipawin Hawks, and the series could have been 3-1 for us. We actually had blown two leads that went to overtime. Like in leads, were blown like with 5 minutes left in the third. That went to overtime, and they ended up winning the game. So it literally could have been 3-1 for us. It was super tight series, and Nipawin was top 10 ranked team in Canada all year, even maybe top 5 all year. So like we knew that we had our backs against the wall against them, but we also knew what we had in the locker room was something special. And so we were ready to go. We had a little pregame skate. All of us went to Johnny's like we normally do on that day. And then after went home, had a pregame nap. And just like I said, typical day, showered, got ready, headed to the rink, packed my bag up, went loaded on the bus and sat in my normal seat that I normally do. And it's like, it's so funny because it's in the game days, you get in this rhythm. And I think any player or athlete can relate that you get into this rhythm. And it's just like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. It's like crossing things off of your routine checklist. And so I was doing that. We were all doing that. Got on the bus, guys were playing cards, watching movies, listening to music, talking, just normal things that you normally do. And so I ended up having a pregame meal on the bus, changing to my suit. And when I sat down, I was listening to some music, and I just put on my suit normally like 45 minutes before we get to the arena. I just don't want to have to change when I'm getting super close and feel a little bit rushed. So I like to put it on early and then sit in my suit for a bit. But anyway, sat back down, was in the aisle seat, row 12, and was listening to some music. And my roommate tapped me on the shoulder, asked what song it was. He was sitting behind me. And I don't remember the song today, but I told him the song. And then there's guys in front of me starting to laugh. So I kind of chimed in and listened. And it's just like, these are things that you don't really think of or really take in, but these are the things that make the bus so fun. It's like having all your friends there, joking around and like making fun of people or making fun of yourself or like just like having a good time. And that's what it was. It was always a good time. And so after everybody was laughing, I was like, okay, I need to focus up. Like this is game day. We got big games. It needs to be the best game of my life, the best game of our lives as well. And so I ended up like putting my headphones and pressing play. And what I like to do is I like to visualize before the game. So I was in a shutdown role that night. And the idea for me was just to visualize who I was playing against, visualize their tendencies and how I'd respond to their tendencies. And so, anyways, I put my headphones in and closed my eyes. And then I woke up 4.5 days later in the hospital. And so everything went black. I don't remember a single thing on the scene. I guess my first partner said I was walking around. I don't remember that whatsoever. Um, so I think that in a sense, it's a blessing that I don't remember, but I also would like to remember as well. So either way, if I do remember, it'd be great. And if I don't, then that's okay too. But I don't remember anything. And then I woke up in the hospital, like I said, 4.5 days later. And I had to be told about what had happened. And I didn't believe it at all. I thought it was not real. I thought it was fake. And so, yeah, I guess reality kind of sunk in after that.
So tell us about the injuries you sustained. I know you had a really bad head injury.
So I suffered a severe traumatic brain injury, a fractured skull, and a puncture wound to my skull, a scalp degloving. So that's like this whole side was a road rash. After that, I had a broken neck. There's like, I think 5 vertebrae in my neck and 4 in my back that were broken. And then I had nerve damage in the back of my neck, muscle and ligament damage as well in my back and neck. And then I had a blood clot in my left arm and a blood clot in my right eardrum. And after that, that was about it for injuries. So I was really grateful for all the injuries I had. Like it could have been a lot worse. The doctor said I should have been vegetative and paralyzed from my neck down. So I'm like super, super grateful to be where I'm at today and still have my brain in a good state. And even to have my body still functioning properly is just, yeah, I'm forever grateful for that.
Yeah, I mean, those are obviously horrible, but I guess, look at where you're at now. You had an insane recovery. So just, I mean, maybe on a more positive note, can you tell us, I know you had some really cool visitors and FaceTimes and stuff like that, I imagine in the hospital. Can you tell us like some of those cool ones?
Yeah, so I'd say some of the cool ones that maybe aren't in the book per se, but like Patrice Bergeron sent a video, which was really cool. He's one of the players I looked up to and tried to model my game after as well. So that was really cool. Then even like Sidney Crosby sent a little package to me too in the hospital, which was really nice. And Bobby Clark, he was really inspirational in that time. Chat with me, Max Domi for the diabetic community people. It was pretty cool to have those two. And then even Mike Fisher, he called, which was hilarious because I don't remember it, but I asked him about how Carrie Underwood was doing. And I have no clue about that at all. And so like in
No.
these 4.5 day window that I don't remember, I was still like talking to people and I was like still with it. But it was like a state of being in a blackout where like I've never been blackout drunk, but people say when you go blackout drunk and you're still like talking and functioning, but you wake up next day and don't remember a single thing. That was the state that I was in. And it's called post-traumatic amnesia. And it was due to my brain injury. So, anyways, I was in this state. And so I was talking and I was a little bit sarcastic. I was vulgar. I was a little bit rude too. But I was talking about this. And so, yeah, I'd bug him about how Carrie Underwood was doing, if I could say hi to her. So, yeah, I don't know where that came from, but that was hilarious. And then also met Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Don Cherry, Ron McLean. And I still don't remember out of those two visits at all. I don't remember lots of these visits, to be honest. And then I'd say those were like some of the cool people I met. Even like Haley Wickenheiser was really, really cool. And Paul Brandt, both of them were super cool. We had a concert actually in our room. I call it the trap room, but in our trap room, we had a concert. And that was really cool just to have Paul Brandt playing some of his top songs. And it was pretty cool just to remember all the visitors and even if I can't remember them, to have pictures with some of them, it was pretty cool.
Yeah,
It
that's
meant
really
a lot
cool.
too. Yeah, it was nice to like, I guess, even have the support. Like, I know we had the support of literally Saskatchewan, Canada, and the entire world, and to see all these different people come in and to have all these different supports, like even people put out their sticks on the porches or tweeting or DMing or sending letter. There's so many different things that people did that was truly, truly incredible and nice. So I'm forever grateful and thankful for that support because it really did help me heal.
Okay, so I have like two follow-up questions here. When one of them you kind of
Yep.
just answered, but it was one of the fan questions. And the question is, were you overwhelmed by the amount of support or you just answered it, or was it helpful in getting you through it? So like, because
Yeah.
all of that, I could see how it could be very overwhelming to the point like, what is going on? Like, I can't even function.
So yeah, there is like a part of it that was a bit overwhelming, and it was just I didn't realize like I guess the span or the broadness of this tragedy until I was actually like left the hospital. Because when you're in the hospital, you're just like in this little I hate to use the term, but you're in this bubble because we use bubble now every day. But like I was in this little bubble and it was just us in the hospital. You see people coming in visiting us, but you really didn't know what was going on externally. And you would look at social media a bit, but it really wasn't telling the true full story until you actually leave the hospital. And so once I left and I went outside, it was literally all like Humboldt strong, prayers for Humboldt, prayers for the Broncos. Everybody had a sticker on their car. There's people that were wearing bracelets. Like everywhere you went, it was Humboldt Broncos in Saskatoon at least. So I thought, well, this is pretty crazy. And then sure enough, I go out to like Humboldt and that was all Humboldt strong too, which would make sense. And then everywhere I went, even in Saskatoon, I get recognized. So like I walked into the mall and I went to Shoppers in the mall to get some toiletries because I haven't got any toiletries in a while. And I was in a hospital. So this was like right after. And when I walked into the mall, there was tremendous amount of people. Like there was a lineup of I'd say 40 plus people wanting to talk to me. And I was with my mom and I was like, Mom, I can't even do this. Like this is so many people here. And so we actually had to leave the mall, and my mom I had to go wait in the vehicle. My mom had to go into the mall and get my toiletries. So that was like kind of when it hit me, just how big of it was. But when you look at it from my perspective, it's just really nice to have that support, and people truly care and want the best for you. And I think that even more now, when I look back and think about it, there was a elderly lady that sat in the room beside us. She was in the same room. It was me and two other Broncos and this elderly lady in our room at one point. And I just remember this so vividly. She was sitting there and she had like no visitors for the past, I want to say 2 or 3 days. And we had tons of visitors. They'd have lineup outside of our room of visitors wanting to meet us. And I think that's when it hit me, just how we need to support other people in their tough times too, and that there is enough support for those who are going through their own tragedies. And this woman beside us had her own tragedy, and she was still fighting and still here. And we went through our own tragedy, but she didn't get nearly any support that we did. And so, like, that was where it kind of hit me, just how grateful I am for the support, and also how we need to be better when other people are going through tough times in their life too. So overall, though, the support was not overwhelming for me. At times it did, when you get like DMs, when they have like over 1,000 DMs in your inbox and you're trying to respond to them, it does get overwhelming a bit. But it's just nice to see the support and how much people can reach out to you and how much they can make your day better by a simple message or a simple gesture or even nothing, just them thinking about us too. So yeah, I think the support really meant the world to me and helped me in my healing process.
And you talk a lot about when things kind of hit you and how they might have affected you at different times or maybe not kicked in for a little while. I know everyone around the world and watched the memorial that you guys had at the arena later on. And I know I was there sitting in my living room watching with my family and stuff, and it was very emotional. So how was that experience for you, and how surreal was that?
Yeah, the memorial was definitely, like, you're talking about the first game back or the memorial of like the crash?
The memorial of the one that was aired on TSN.
Okay. Yeah. So that would have been like right after the memorial,
Yeah.
that one. Yeah. That one was definitely difficult. And for me, I wasn't even able to go to that. I was in the hospital at that time. So I think it was even more harder for me to not be able to be cleared to go to that event or even to the other events. Like, it took me, I guess, almost a month before I was even able to be cleared to go to any events. So I think that was difficult because I missed all the funerals, I missed all the memorials, the vigils, everything that was done to honor those who aren't here, I missed. So I think that was a really hard part about it. But I found a way to heal throughout looking through old videos, looking at their social media profiles, and just trying to heal that way from it, to remember all the great times we had, because we really did have amazing times. And the fact that I even knew those people that were on the bus and that we had that connection when there's like 8 billion people in this world, I think that's something truly special that I never took for granted.
I'm just last one, and then we can kind of move it over unless you have any more, Cardsy. But I'm curious how, if you're able to talk about it, how you were mentally going through that stuff. Because obviously, there's very little things that could have been harder than that. So how did you handle it mentally?
So for me, my mental state at the start, I was really confused. When I did wake up and get into the told about the situation, I thought literally I got checked from behind. Like, when I woke up, looked in a hospital, I thought, okay, I'm in a hospital. My neck is sore. I got checked from behind and I had to leave the game, and I'm in the hospital right now because I left the game. That was my first thought process. So I asked my parents how'd the game go. And they said, what game are you talking about? Like, did we win our game? Like, there was no game. And so that was like kind of weird for me to process. And so then they told me about the crash, told me who was here, who wasn't. And I didn't even know my injuries actually until after my physio appointment. Because I go for my physio appointment at like 2 minutes later. Once they told me that, because I was waking up from a nap. And then I kind of came to everything. And so I think at that time was a lot of confusion. I didn't really believe it. And then I went back and I looked at Twitter, and there's still like tons of stuff. And I there's like in my room, there's Broncos gear all over they had my jerseys up in the back, and it felt a little weird. It like didn't feel real. And so then later that night, I went to send a text to my roommate, Stephen Wack, who was one of my best buds. And like, we were really connected. And he was the one sitting behind me who tapped on my shoulder about the song. And I was going to shoot him a text saying, hey, how you doing, kind of thing. And I remembered that he won't be able to receive the text and that he's not here anymore. And then that was like really when it hit me. It was that evening. And it didn't really make sense because people behind me passed away. People beside me passed away. It just, it wasn't making much sense and logic behind the reasoning of it. I kept asking the why questions, but really later on that night, I found out that the why questions will never be answered, and that I could sit here and ask why for my entire life if I wanted to, and I would never get an answer. And I think that was when my acceptance kind of kicked in. I had a bit of survivor's guilt. I felt bad that I survived and they didn't. Like, we had a 16-year-old on our team who was destined for like amazing things. We had even the younger guys too. Like, there's lots of them that had such a bright future. And even the parents like Darcy who had children at home and a wife. Like, yeah, it didn't feel right. And I had that survivor's guilt for sure of why I was here and why others weren't. But then my mindset kind of kicked in and said, like, you know what? I'm here. I need to make something positive out of this. Like, I need to live my life to the fullest for those who aren't here, and to enjoy the life's grind, and to find the positive over negative, and to focus on the things I could control. And so for me, I was dealt with a lot of stuff before my life previously, before this crash, which I think did help me in the coping process. But then during it, I thought, like, if I wasn't here, how would I want the people who survived to live their life? And that was one of the big things for me, is like, if I was gone and I wasn't here, I'd want survivors to be happy. I want them to follow their dreams and passions and to really enjoy life to the fullest, because life can be gone fast and you can see it in that instance. And to really make the most of it, follow their passions, follow their dreams, but to really just be happy. And so for me, that's what I wanted to do, was to treat myself if I wasn't here and how I'd want myself to live my life. And so I've done that ever since, and I've done that even beforehand, but now I have like that much of a reason to do so for my 16 family members. So I think the mental health aspect was huge, or like trying to move past it, to accept it for what it is, and then to reframe my mind to focus on the things I can control. I can't control a semi-driver. I can't control who's here, who's not here. Even I can't even control my injuries. All I can really control are my actions, my behaviors, and how I want to move forward from this.
And it gives me goosebumps hearing about it, and just how open you are and honest about the situation. Me and Rask and all of our viewers and listeners probably really appreciate this, and we thank you for being like this with us. And we want to get into life after the crash and stuff. And you did go to York, and you played university hockey there. So could you talk about your time there for a little bit?
For sure. So I was lucky enough to talk to York at, I guess, in the summer of 20. Oh boy, I keep feeling old now. Summer of 2017, I started talking to York, and that was when I got traded to Humboldt, and was able to chat with them, just talking about me being interested in their program for the next year, and how I wanted to be a line. I had one friend who was a line, and he said that he really enjoyed the experience. I knew of a couple others that were there, but I didn't really like know them. There's 3 Saskatoon guys on the team, and which is pretty rare, to be honest, to have 3 Saskatoon guys at university together. But I knew all 3 of them, but I knew one like quite well, and the other 2 are like, just knew if I passed by, I might say hi, kind of thing. Like, you know, for hockey, but you don't really know them. Anyway, so I talked to one of them, and they absolutely loved their experience so far. And so that was why I was really interested in York. And so I talked to York throughout the whole season, and I was fortunate enough to be enrolled in school in February and like verbally committed to them in February. But it wasn't anything set in stone. So I didn't say no to the other schools I was talking to as well, because I wanted something like actually formal. And I knew that in the hockey world, people can talk and all that, but it's actually once you sign the paper, then it's more of a real deal, as I'm sure most people know, especially you guys too. So for me, that was one of the big things, was I still was verbally committed to York before the crash, and I actually didn't tell anyone about it. I think just my coaches knew, and that was about it. To my family, I guess, too, but I didn't really tell anyone about it. And anyways, after the crash, York University still wanted to commit to me and still wanted me to be a part of their team. Even if I could never play a game, they knew that I would bring something to the organization, something to the team. So I'm forever grateful and lucky to even have that opportunity to be a Lion today. So anyways, I committed to York in May, officially in May of 2018 after the crash. And the doctors were like really, really against me going there. They said if I'd go there, I'd fail in school. I'd live like a terrible lifestyle, and I'd fall into like a dark, dark time. And I kind of like questioned them about it, but like due to my brain injury, they thought that was going to be my outcome. They said like, there's really no way you would succeed there, because you're moving to Toronto, you're living in a new city, you're living on your own, you have school and hockey demands, you have the crash aftermath they have to deal with too, all your injuries, you have to recover mentally, physically, emotionally. So like you're putting yourself in a horrible situation. So I went against the doctor's orders and I said, like, you know what, I'm gonna try it out. If I go there and I don't succeed, well, then you guys are right. And if I do go there and succeed, then you guys are wrong. And like, you don't know unless you try. And for me, I didn't, if I failed, then that's great. And I knew that I was not ready to go to school. If I succeeded, then I'm proving them wrong, kind of thing. So I ended up going to York University and been there for, I guess, just graduate with the commerce degree this past spring. And 3 years I was there and absolutely loved my time. Absolutely loved it. The bonds, the connections, the teammates, the memories, even like how the place was ran for my, like it went way above my expectations. So I'm extremely grateful to be a part of the men's hockey program and to be an alumni now. It's just life changes. It's crazy calling myself alumni too, but it's for me, the big thing was just being a part of family. And I have my own family there at York as well. And to be in the same dressing room as teammates and friends and just to go through that grind together was really cool. And so I'm really lucky to be a Lion. And I thought that for me, there wouldn't have been another school I would have went to. It was York for sure because it made me challenge me as a person, challenge me as a man, challenge me as a player, as a student. It was everything I wanted it to be.
And you would have played with my buddy Beaner there.
Oh, no way.
So how'd you like playing with him or being around him all the time?
Yeah, no, I'll tell you a story actually. When I first came in, I was he's an intimidating guy.
Yeah.
Like he's an intimidating guy. He's like one of those big macho jack dudes who's like always benching more than everybody, always doing more weight than everybody. And like he's hard to play against. And so yeah, like he was definitely intimidating, but now like we're buddies and good buddies too. So I think it's hilarious just seeing how everybody changes and like, but yeah, I really enjoyed playing with him and he's a good team guy. And I think he's been assistant captain now for the past 2 years. And I think maybe last year for sure. And then this year coming up, he'll definitely be wearing a letter. So it's nice to see him taking on a leadership role for the team. And he's gonna be, I think, a 6-year guy now. So it'll be hilarious because of the COVID situation. He's on year 5, I think. And then next year will be year 6. So it's pretty cool that he'll have 6 years of university hockey under his belt.
Yeah, no, Beaner's gonna be there until he's 80 at this point. But can you quickly touch on your connection to Mark Cross as well?
For sure. So that was one of my big influences from even going to York in the first place was Mark Cross. When I was talking to schools throughout the season, Mark kept on saying, like, you got to go to York. You got to go to York. I was like, Mark, I don't even have a spot at York yet. Like, they haven't even offered me a spot. So I don't know why you're telling me I should go to York. And he's like, no, like they will just keep playing good. And they'll be getting you there for sure. And I said, well, okay, if it happens, it happens. And he's like, no, like you got to go. Your experience there is to be unreal. He's like, the team is unreal. The culture is really good. You have a really great support system in academics. You're living in Toronto and downtown isn't too far away. He's like, you're not in the heart of Toronto, so you're not like scared about going out and about or skyscrapers. Like, it feels like a community and campus. And he's like, it's literally perfect. He's like, I loved my time there. And he's like, you'll love it too. And so he was actually one of the main reasons why I even committed to York in the first place. Like, I listened to him, took lots of his advice, asked him tons of questions, probably too many questions that he probably got frustrated about because I really want to know everything. Because it's not just like a year commitment or like just a team you go to and ask for a trade. Like, you're there for academics and hockey. So you want to be checking both off. And you're also there to live. So like you can't just, you have a lot going on. And so for me, I want to make sure it was a good decision. And in hockey is one of our only times as a hockey player, I get to choose where you get to play. So for me, that was like a big thing too, was choosing the right spot. So yeah, Mark Cross was a huge influence. He was a 5-year Lion. He was on, I think, 3 or 4 academic All-Canadians. He was assistant captain for 3 years. Like, he was a really, really big guy for the organization. And right now the organization uses his attributes to make our team culture what it is today. So he uses CROSS acronym, it's called, which is character, respect, optimism, sacrifice, and selflessness. And that's what we guide our culture as today.
Yeah, and just to kind of finish that thought, because it wasn't mentioned, but Mark Cross was your assistant coach in Humboldt after he played at York there.
Yeah,
and I'm just curious as well. Did Mess ever coach you at York, Jesse Mess?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was my assistant coach my first year, and he was awesome. Did he coach you guys?
He coached Cardsy. That's why I brought it up.
Yeah, he was my assistant coach in Saginaw last year before the COVID year. So, what were your thoughts on Mess?
Oh, I loved him. He was awesome. Really great guy. You like him too?
Oh yeah, he's the best players coach, and yeah, he's
Yeah.
always there for a good laugh too. So I loved him, and I'm sure you did too, and all the other boys.
Oh yeah, I know we all loved him. He was a huge Lion as well. He was, I think, 5 years and he was captain and stuff. So he was really, really great for us, and we all adored him and loved him. And what he brought to the table and what he brought to the rink every day was something that we really enjoyed. And so, yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah, a couple shout outs here, three in one little outlet. But can you tell us? I know you talked about a bit earlier, but just quickly, kind of some of the stuff you did off the ice at York in your time there.
So I was involved in like a lot of things, which was really cool for me because I wanted to be involved in things, and I really wanted to immerse myself in the York community. So I guess I'll kind of start off with my first year. I really didn't do too much. I was in the clinic every second day, and that was like in this Shoreham clinic, it's called, where it's recovery. And so I worked on my neck, my back, and then I also injured my ankle in our Mark Cross Humboldt Strong tour. I had little Johnny take out my feet, and I landed on my ankle awkwardly and tore a ligament in my ankle. So that was an absolute tough blow, like the worst luck possible. But the little Johnny got me good, and so I ended up just not really doing too much in the community that year. Second year though was a little bit different. I had opportunity to, I guess I got my scans back that first year, and my brain was not looking too hot. It was not looking good at all, and it didn't look like I was going to play, even though I was passing all these tests and like scoring better on these tests than I did beforehand. So it just didn't make sense. But anyways, I decided to talk to my coach. We talked about it, and he thought that I should be more involved on off the ice stuff instead of trying to get back into the game and risking my injury, risking my head injury some more. So we agreed on that. And so I took on a recruiting role my second year there. I took on, I guess, oh boy. So I made like a warm up playlist or music playlist during games, recruiting, and I did four different councils. So I was on our student council as a men's hockey representative. I was also on the leadership committee, the leadership council, and there's one more, and that's going to drive me nuts. I can't remember. But then I also went with Heroes Hockey, and I skated with the Heroes Hockey kids every Wednesday, and they actually ended up winning the NHL awards. The organizer won an award at NHL awards for the Heroes Hockey, which is a great program for children that maybe don't have the privilege to play hockey. And like you said, they're underprivileged and they might not have that time commitment, or they might have a disability, and they can actually learn the game and love the game. So they will volunteer with them. And then on top of that, I was able to do stuff outside of the hockey world too, and outside of York University. So I did quite a bit there too. I had my Dahlgren's diabetes. I was with JDRF. I was with the Canadian Volunteer Awards. And then I was also with some more diabetic organizations. So throughout my time as a Lion, I did tons of things, like almost maybe too much. But I wanted to make myself busy. I wanted to really be fully immersed into the community and to really give my whole self to the York Lions. So I think that was for me lots of what I did. And then I also took on a strength and conditioning role. That was another one too with the team. I got my personal training certification my first year after I received the images back of my brain, and took on a strength and conditioning role. And then even helped out with the goalies and shooting pucks on goalies, helped with some video. I was really like even like the liaison between the players and the coach. Like it was crazy. The roles I had there it was pretty cool. It was a cool experience for sure.
Okay, so did you ever have time to just have a beer and be a student?
I did. It was pretty rare, but I did have time, and I would carve some time out of my schedule for that, because for me as a student, I needed to succeed academically because I wanted to become a chiropractor. And I was fortunate enough to be one today, or in one in school right now for it. But at that time, I definitely took academics a little bit almost too serious, but I wouldn't to change it at all. And so, yeah, we would do fun things too. And the fact that like on game days, we'd be able to, so I was always a part of the healthy scratch crew, just because I couldn't play, obviously. And I wasn't really healthy per se, but I was always part of the crew. So like me and the third string goalie really got along quite well because we were always never playing.
Was that Ewing?
Yeah, it was Dalton Ewing. Yeah. Do you guys know him?
I know him a bit, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So
He's a
like
character, man.
He is a character. Yeah, he's hilarious. We got along quite well, and we had like our own little healthy scratch crew that would hang out, and we had a good time. So we like work out before the game. And so I definitely hang out with them and do things like that. And on weekends, we would have some fun too. Like we weren't just a straight academic in hockey. We would like to have some fun, but we did take hockey very serious. And we do have like a pro schedule. We practice every day. We work out every day. We have skill sessions on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. We have videos sessions every day. Like we really take hockey serious there at York, and it is like a pretty much a pro team organization. Just you're in school as well, so you have to balance both of those. But we definitely carved out time for fun.
All right. And so we have been keeping a while. We'll try to move it along. We don't have too much left. But I do want to talk about your decision to retire from hockey, because I know obviously you're getting more and more healthy. Hadn't actually played a game in a long time, but that must have been one of the hardest decisions you've ever made. So can you just tell us about how that went down?
So that one was very difficult because it was such a long time coming. It wasn't like, well, it wasn't really a long time coming. It was like a blunt, quick injury that I was out of my control, but also like the long time coming of like trying to recover. And like I went hard to recover for like over a year, maybe even like a year and a half, 2 years even. So like really try to recover to get back to game shape to, and it wasn't that I wasn't in game shape because I'll give you a story, I guess, in practices, my first day of practice were like really bad at York in 2018. But progressively throughout the year, I started to get like really good and got back to normal kind of myself. And so I was doing like, we're never doing battle drills, but I was doing drills with guys and I'd be beating guys races of pucks and I'd be like scoring on goalies in practice and stuff. I was actually like able to keep up and looking good out there. So I'd have coaches coming up to me and being like, hey, like, I wish you could play. Like, we should try to get you in line-up kind of thing. Like, will we get cleared? That kind of aspect. So that was difficult when you hear coaches saying like, oh, you look so good. We'd love to have you on the ice. And even teammates too being like, hey, like you really could play. Like I want you to play. I'd like to see you play. I'd love to play too, but I'm not cleared because of my brain injury. So during the brain injury, the whole situation with that was that I had lots of bleeding throughout my brain, all different spots. There wasn't just like one spot that was impacted. It was like all over my brain. And I would do these tests and I'd score better than I did before the crash. So I did the impact test. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but it's a concussion pre-screening test. And I did it in Humboldt in 2017. And then I did it in 2018 at York. And I scored higher in 2018 than I did in 2017. So that was just so weird because if you have a brain injury that's that severe, you shouldn't be scoring higher. Like it just doesn't make sense, doesn't correlate. And so throughout the season, I was practicing, like I do bag skates. I had no symptoms, nothing on the ice. And I was able to keep up. And it just was like, okay, maybe I don't even have this brain injury that people are saying I have. Like, obviously, I was weird in the hospital. And like, obviously, I had a brain injury, but maybe not as severe as what they say it is. So that was when I got another scan, was in February. And you're supposed to wait a year after scans. And that's why it was so late, was I had to wait a year. So I got another image of my brain and it came back the exact same as it was on April 9th, 2018, right after the crash. And that was kind of when it hit me about, okay, so my brain is very serious. I'm just in a really fortunate spot. So the doctors kind of explained how I have a bubble, and in this bubble is my brain, and it can pop, and my brain can pop. However, I'm in this bubble right now. It's like moving around is all good. But if I did take a hit, it might have a little blow, it might come back, it might be all right. But if I take a huge hit, it might pop. And so they're scared that I'll pop the bubble. However, I have to take calculated risks because I can't just live my life in fear like that. It's not fun. And so like say if I'm walking outside, I can slip on ice and hit my head, or I can get in a car accident and hit my head there too. So it's like just taking the calculated risks. And so I'd practice and work out with the team, but I wouldn't play because the risk of playing is not worth the reward of my future longevity of life and even my brain. So that was when it really hit me. And I talked to my coach about it. And it was just easier for us to not risk it because there's so much more to life. Like I had aspirations being a chiropractor. I want a family. I want to be there for my parents, my friends. Like I want to enjoy all life has to offer. And I don't want to risk my head being an issue throughout the rest of life. Because you still see people with concussions that struggle daily, that have tingling in their ears, or they have sight issues, or they have headaches 24/7. Like I have nothing. And so for me, I don't want to risk it even more. And that was kind of the decision that we made in my going into my second year. And then I actually tried going into the third year. I tried kind of getting back into it a bit just to see how it was. I was curious how my head was to respond to it. And I still practiced and worked out with the team in my second year too. And so like going into the third season, I went and practiced a bit in the summer, but then COVID obviously hit. So that didn't work out too well. And if anything, I think we're going to play me in the senior night and I would have just sat on the bench. And that would have been like my senior night, first ever OUA game. But it never happened because of COVID. And that's okay too. But it would have been
That's
pretty
tough.
cool. Yeah, it would have been really cool just to sit on the bench for one game, just to say I had one game, even though I never played a shift. But yeah, it would have been cool to do that. However, at the end of the day, I'm really happy with where I went in life and my hockey career took me. Uh, and that's the way I look at it too, is just like how I met all these different people and all the connections and the stories and memories that you make. So I'm really grateful for that. But it was definitely hard making a decision to retire. But I think health is number one priority. And I have more aspirations than just hockey in life. And I know hockey doesn't last forever. And so I want to be here forever.
And yeah, you talk about not being able to touch the ice in an OUA setting, but you made a huge impact at York anyway. So you got to be proud of that. And now we know you're at chiropractic school and you're working to be a chiropractor now. So we also heard that you got an internship with the Arizona Coyotes. Could you quickly talk about that as we're now in present day times? And then we can get into some fan questions here.
For sure. Yeah. So with the Arizona Coyotes, I actually did a podcast. It would have been with Jeff Merrick on his 31 Thoughts. Is that what it's called? I hope it's right. Yeah. And I did that podcast, and the Arizona Coyotes head of strength and conditioning and head of all, I guess, like head of everybody within the athletics aspect of it, reached out to me and said, hey, like, we're interested in you coming for development camp. Would you be interested? And so I was so pumped. That was like probably one of the highlights for me. It was just hearing that and having them reach out. And so, yeah, it sounds like I'm going to development camp next summer. We already have it kind of locked in. So that's going to happen. And I can't wait for that. It'll be such a great experience to actually see development camp from a like personnel standpoint, instead of a player standpoint. Because I had lots of friends, like lots of good buddies of mine are in the NHL or AHL, and they went to tons of development camps. And so I could hear their experiences, but to actually like go and experience it from a staff standpoint will be really cool because I can relate to the players, but I also can relate to the staff. So having that is something that I can't wait for. And Arizona is pretty cool too. Like I'm not going to complain about going to Arizona either.
Yeah.
Hey, Rask, maybe you could help me maybe get drafted or an invite to Arizona, right?
Yeah. Hey, if you're getting in the GMs here, Ethan Cardwell, top prospect, let him know. But
I will.
we'll send it over to the fan questions. It's been a long one. I'll have to narrow down. I wrote down a bunch, but I'll cut a couple of them out just to save you the time. We've been going a while. But the one everyone kind of asks every week is, well, I mean, you're not playing anymore, but what stick did you use and what specs on it?
Awesome. Okay. So I used actually I have the stick. I have the stick right here. I used an 80 flex, a little bit an 80, but I cut it down. So it's probably like an 80, 84 or 86 in there, flex. And I used a P92 and I would have used tactile grip and heightened blade, mid heightened blade, not a fully extended blade, but there's a mid extended blade. And I guess that'd be about it for the specs, right? Anything else?
Yeah.
What
CCMs,
model?
right? If it was at York.
Yeah, there's CCMs. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Hey,
I
I
like
know everything U Sports
yeah,
card. I know what
yeah.
sticks every school is using. I got it.
Yeah, I got custom made ones though, actually. So I was really fortunate. Let's bring it here actually.
Yeah, let's see it.
So I got the Trigger 3, these bad boys.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's elite. So, yeah, if anybody wants those $1,000 a pop, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Buy 'em.
Yeah, Dahlgren 80 flex. Like I said, P92 mid blade. I use black tape. Not really a big fan of the white tape. You know, I do like the white tape. I used to like white, but I'd put puck mark on the top so I could see my stick. I look down and like battles quickly.
Mhm.
So yeah. What would your dream purchase be? Like you could buy anything you want. What are you buying?
Oh boy. I would say if I had to, I don't know, honestly. This is a tough question.
That is a tough one. Even I don't know what I'd say like I'd probably get like a spaceship. I'm kind of been feeling that. I was watching the Virgin Galactic space launch yesterday. If I could buy one of those things and go to space whenever I want, That's probably
That's
mine.
pretty cool. I go private jet. Private jet would be pretty sweet. I like that. I like being able to go anywhere. Yeah, that was a good idea. Spaceship. I like private jet. I go with
Hey,
that.
Rask, once he signs his big ticket in Arizona, he'll be able to buy this jet, right?
Oh yeah, take us
I
out
don't
to
know
the
about
desert.
that.
And yeah, the reason I ask for the future NHL players listening to this, our partners at Gavin Hockey Well Specialists believe that your goals matter. After hundreds of early morning practices and countless hours on the ice or in the gym, you truly earned your success and you deserve to enjoy it. For over 20 years, the team at Gavin has assisted professional hockey players with setting goals and, more importantly, providing them with a game plan to achieve them. Whether it's a house, a car, a cottage, spaceship, or even supporting your family, it's all within reach when you partner with a pro, and you can check them out at gavingroup.ca. And we'll go one more fan question. What are your thoughts on the Stanley Cup Final? How it went down?
Ooh, all right. So it's gonna hurt some Tampa Bay fans, but I'm not a fan of the salary cap situation there and how they went through the salary cap. I know they've done in people teams have done in the past, and I have never been a fan of it either. But there's got to be some rule or something there, just saying like you have to be salary cap complacent. I know it's the weird with the funds and all that, but like I don't know. I don't know if I like that. I don't know. But I prefer if it was a Canadian team that won. I'm not really a big fan of the Montreal Canadiens either, but my Vegas team lost out, so I'm a little bit hurt about that. Not gonna lie, still pretty hurt. I like Vegas a lot. I wanted the underdogs that come in and take it, but it's okay. It's honestly okay. Vegas really isn't underdog anymore. They were, but like I really wanted Vegas to take it. But at the end of the day, I'm happy Tampa Bay went back to back. It's pretty cool to witness back to back Stanley Cup champions. But didn't like how they did it without the salary cap situation. If it was just legit, they won it all. Good for them, and I've been really cool. I've been really happy. But the salary cap thing kind of put a little damper on it for my liking. But and good for Montreal for even getting there. To be honest, like Montreal, I had no idea. If you would ask me and would have said Montreal should get to Stanley Cup Finals, I'd have laughed. Said not a chance. Like they had to go through lots of good teams to even get there. So good for Montreal impressing everybody and being the underdogs for the whole process.
And just one last thing, and I'll flip it over to Cardsy to wrap it up. But for you coming on, we're gonna send you a beautiful Axel watch from our sponsor, Axel
No
Watches.
way.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
sick.
we'll
Thank
I'll
you.
send you the website after. You can take a pic, and we'll get that over to you as soon as possible. But that's our token of appreciation for you taking the time, and shout out to Axel Watches for the generous gift. And yeah, I mean that's all from me. I'll send it to you, Cards. But personally, I really appreciate you coming on. This was awesome for me, a really fun one. So Cards, anything?
Thank you.
Yeah, no, definitely super touching to hear your story and everything you went through and making such a positive impact in the world today as you are. We both look forward to seeing your journey progress as a person and in sport. So all the best to you. And we really do appreciate you taking the time today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on, you guys. You're awesome people, and it's great to see you guys doing amazing with this podcast. And I can't wait to see where your hockey career takes you as well, Ethan. I feel like you have a really bright future. And I know I talked to Mess, it would have been not too long ago, and he talked about you actually in particular about being a great person and player. So continue to keep it up, and excited to see where you're going. And Michael, excited to see where you're going too in life. I feel like you have some big plans too. So kind of see what happens in your guys' life as well. But thank you for having me on. I really appreciate it.
All right, wow, what an interview that was. Just super pumped to have him on the podcast and shed some light on all of that. And we kind of touched on it before the interview, but Cards, what do you think of it?
Yeah, just an exceptional person, a guy who's so positive through such tough events that's gone through and on in his life. And he's faced so many challenges, but to just see how he kind of takes them and moves forward with them and makes the most of every opportunity he's given. It's pretty awesome to see and just nice to hear his story and get to know him a little bit better.
Yeah, he's such a nice guy. You can just tell, even the way he like ends that interview, like getting us fired up, blowing a little smoke up our way.
Yeah.
So gotta love it. I want to quickly mention, although we are a hockey podcast, the Euros, pretty big soccer tournament. And I'm not a big soccer guy myself, but I always like to watch the big games. So me and my brother, we went out to an English pub and watched the final, England versus Italy. And we were cheering for England. My brother's a big England fan. I don't really care. So I just hopped on his side just for fun. And we lost. So congrats to Italy. And we had a little England flag on our car, right? Kind of like he loves them. So we're driving back from this pub, man. And I live in Vaughan, like for those around Ontario, like near Woodbridge and stuff, like very Italian place. we're getting in like car fights on the way home with everybody. Everyone's like honking at us, giving us the finger. Like my brother's out the sunroof, like flipping everybody off. Like, and he was hammered, by the way. Like it was just so funny. It was all funny games. No one was like really mean. Like some people were even just saying good game and stuff, but that car ride home was insane. And then later on when I was driving, I was going out for dinner. And like I said, driving through, I took off the flag as I was driving. All like, I'm telling you, Woodbridge was insane. Like thousands and thousands and thousands of people, news, like everybody waving flags, going crazy, honking horns. And I was just like, yeah, I don't really care. So I was like Team Italy now. So I'm like screaming out the window, like getting the fans on the streets fired up. Everyone's honking. It was like the most fun day I've ever had. And I can only imagine like if the Leafs ever go to the Cup, like how it'll be for me. But it was pretty fun, just like getting all the Italian fans fired up. And yeah, it was a good time. But did you catch any of the Euros at all?
Yeah, no, I was going for England too. But yeah, no, Italy, good job. It's been a while, so good for them. And no, I just feel like England kind of botched it. You can't put a 19-year-old in there under that pressure and circumstance. But hey, I'm not a soccer coach. I know nothing about soccer, so that's all I gotta say. But no, good on Italy. We'll get them next time.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess with that being said, Cards, you can kind of, unless you want to touch on anything, but you can take it to the usual wrap up here.
Yeah, no, I think we're in the wrap-up segment of this happy. It's been a special one, pretty inspiring, as we mentioned before. And if you listeners can take anything from it, it's just stay positive. Everything works out in life for a reason, and just do your thing because every person is exceptional in their own manner. So have a great week, and we'll be back to you next week. The boys are signing off from the Showbound podcast. Peace.